Hey everyone, welcome to the Human Cloud Podcast, the spot where leaders come to drive the freelance economy forward. So today we have Quentin. Quentin's the CEO of Trees Engineering, the leading energy engineering talent marketplace in Malaysia. Now, first off the bat, how cool is that? The leading energy engineering talent platform and also being based in Malaysia. So one of the leading trends of where the freelance economy is going, and I know you all know this, is the rise of niche specialized platforms. There's always been Catalent for consulting, TopTal for developers, but we're now seeing over 800 globally niched platforms. And these platforms, they typically niche by industry or skill or region. And Quentin is no different. So you're going to hear about that. Second thing is I really think you're going to learn from Quentin's journey. He started Trees in the middle of COVID. And he wasn't an expert in the freelance economy prior. He was coming from the outside. So you're going to hear the sort of hacky way to drive and really grow a freelance marketplace. And then third, you're going to really laser into the key transformational benefits of a freelance network. So more than just a freelance marketplace, what is so powerful about the freelance model, what we call the human cloud? What is so powerful about that? So sit back, enjoy, and then go drive some change. Real quick, before we get started, have you checked out Human Cloud's industry landscape? Now, I know we use this word freelance, right? What we're really talking about is a massive industry where the supply, the individuals, are self-employed. But there's actually over 800 global platforms, and there's been over 100 platforms added this year alone. Now, within platforms, every platform isn't the same. There's large horizontal platforms, there's niche vertical, and every day there's a new niche vertical platform. Whether it's a platform for gaming talent, whether it's a platform for shoe designers, whether it's a platform for oil and gas engineers in Malaysia, you name it, there is a platform for it. And there's more than platforms. There are these things called hybrid agencies. There is freelance as a service. There's business to freelancer tools like Collective and Wethos. There's freelance communities. There's onboarding tools. There's providers. There's freelance management systems. Everything is included in Human Cloud's industry landscape. So go hop over to humancloud.org and check out that landscape. All right, enjoy the episode. All right, so Quentin, so listen, there's a common theme that you listeners, I want you to listen for, and that is the uniqueness of the freelance economy today. In that, what you're doing with Trees, specifically Trees Engineering, the idea of an engineering marketplace or engineering freelance talent 5 years ago would be unheard of. And so we are so pumped to learn more, to learn about your journey and learn more about Trees. So I think that's going to be one of the common themes. But Quentin, just to start off, where are you located?
Well, thank you, Matthew. Right now, I'm located in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, right now.
Nice. Where? What are some of your favorite spots to eat? Because I'll be honest, I did my visa run in KL, and the food was to die for. And I know there's a regional battle between who has better food, Singapore or KL/Malaysia. And I know Malaysians always say that Singapore just stole their stuff. And so, what's some of your favorite food spots?
Well, my favorite spot actually is Taiwanese food. It's called Din Tai Fung. It's mostly like you eat dumplings, basically. Otherwise, there is this good place. My two favorite restaurants, otherwise, of Madam Kwan. Madam Kwan is like Malaysian food. I don't know if you have heard about this. And the other one is like Malaysian Chinese food, seafood.
So good. And Quentin, what brought you to Malaysia? Because where were you born? What's been sort of your geographic journey?
Yeah, sure. Well, as you can hear, I'm French, born in Paris and raised in the south suburb of Paris. And well, to be honest, I always wanted to live abroad since I'm young. And after my engineering school, I went to South Korea. My first experience abroad, where I was a mathematical teacher. During actually the graduation, I was the only one missing. I was in South Korea.
That is incredible. And what, in terms of the journey to trees, so I guess let's start. Like how would you describe trees? And am I saying it right? Do you want me to say trees or trees engineering?
But well, actually, when I first proposed the name, my investor was saying no, using the word engineering is not right. But I was saying if our name is just trees, no one will understand. I mean, we work in the energy industry. Right now in Southeast Asia, we mostly do oil and gas. So if we just keep the name trees, it might sound a bit strange. So I told him, let's start with trees engineering and we'll see later. We'll see later if we need to change. So yeah, that's how it came to the name trees engineering. And actually, that's a good question as well. No, I like it. I like this one. In our industry, there are not many like what's called freelancer. And the name trees came also from the name freelancer, by treelancer. I was like this, oh, maybe we should call it that treelancer. So I like the word like with trees where each of us, we are like a tree with all our specificities. And the first idea is actually was to work on what is called deliverables, because in engineering, our engineers works on deliverables. So it was like this. That's what we have like small dots, or like they are the deliverables, but they are also the head of the people making the trees.
Gotcha. And so you mentioned, I mean, it's such a fascinating, like I mentioned, engineering freelancers, not something that I come across every day. And 5 years ago, not something that I would have said, wow, there's going to be a marketplace just for engineers. And, to get deeper, you're mentioning oil and gas. And so let's get super tactical. What does the typical project look like? Is this hey, here's an individual engineer for 20 hours a week? You kind of mentioned deliverables. So is this outcome based? What's a typical engagement look like?
No, so typical engagement. Me, when I finished my engineering school, actually, I went to those engineering consultancy. And I have no idea actually, but I arrived in this working for one actually, it's called like a manpower company basically. In term of contracts, it's a manpower contract, but they deliver engineering services. But basically just we hire people and we place them to the office of our clients. What it's so called, so engineering consultancy, manpower. There's a lot of different services. And when I first arrived in this company, I was like this, really? Is it a scam? We are hiring people and we place them, it was in France, and we place them in the office of our clients. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. And I started to understand everything already. It was like, so now 12 years ago, I was like this, why we just don't use freelancer? Like why we should hire? It's too costly. And I remember I told this to my CEO at this time. And he's the one actually who invested in the company right now. So 12 years ago, I told him, why we just don't use freelancer for that? Because in France, it was the start of like freelancing 12 years ago. And like this, why we just don't have freelancers? So at least, okay, we place them, we help them to find a job, but at least we can just, instead of taking 30% or 40% of fees in order to recover the period when they don't work, we just make them as the freelancer. They invoice us. We take a smaller fee. Okay, but it will be easier for everyone. So this idea came up already 12 years ago. And well, I've seen the evolution of things. Like in France, Malte actually started right 10 years ago. I've seen the evolution in the US as well with Fiverr, Upwork, all those marketplaces. Mostly for devs, for SEO experts, UI UX, blah blah blah, and when I had no job during COVID, I still found out that this business model basically doesn't exist. So I was blocked in my place in Malaysia. So I like this. Well, let's do it. Doesn't exist. Just let's do it. Let's launch it. Why not?
Now let's dig deeper into this. So specifically where so okay, kind of playing it back. So it's
Yeah.
freelancers like you mentioned. 12 years ago, there was still freelancers. There's actually always been freelancers and there's always been external talent. There's always been consultants. And so the concept of freelancer isn't new. But, in Southeast Asia, it's pretty tough. So we're going to get into that around what's it like in Southeast Asia versus the rest of the world. Europe and the US probably were sort of the early adopters and definitely first to adopt freelance at scale. US, leading, but Europe pretty quick behind. So I guess let me ask you just a kind of funny question. Why create another marketplace? Why wasn't Malt or Upwork or these other marketplaces? Why weren't they enough? Why weren't they enough for this space?
Well, I guess the energy industry, the engineering industry is really different from those generalist marketplace. They can't talk to everyone. When they have been created, it was for a specific type of people, and engineers are, I think, a different engineers in the energy industry. I mean, in engineering, basically, are different type of people. Like the devs, for example, the back-end, front-end, web designer, whatever, they just work on their laptop, on an office. They don't really, for example, go on site, go build something, go see things growing, basically. They don't go on yachts, they don't go on site. The type of engineers that we provide to our clients are completely different type of people. So yeah, they during the engineering phase, of course, they are working with the laptop, they are working in the office, but after, during like the construction phase, it's even actually also different type of engineers. Some of the engineers that work during the engineering can go on the construction, commissioning, startup phase, but there are different type of engineers, and those people, I think it's really like they are different characters, different mindsets. So they will not. I think they are interested for sure, like by those Fiverr, Upwork, but when they connect on Fiverr and Upwork, those marketplaces don't talk to them. They don't see themselves, because they just see you are a dev, you are looking for a job, but it's mostly about like all this digital space. And us working in the energy industry, I mean, we are, I think, passionate people by the energy itself, by creating something, creating energy, basically electricity. That's the point. There are some people, they say like energy basically is the blood of the economy. It means if we stop, I mean, even if you think like all those wars, there is always actually a question of energy somewhere. It's question of oil, question of gas, mining. Recently, actually, with France, we have issue in Niger for like many people talk about like those uranium mines. So many things are about the energy, and it's like a niche market. But without the energy industry, we can't communicate, because we don't have internet, we don't have laptop, we have nothing.
Yeah, it's man, I can't wait to learn more. And so, what would you say are like the top 3 things that are different? So, are your freelancers, are they working on site with the clients?
So we have 2 different. I mean, actually, no, 3 different ones. Most of our engineers, they work in the office of our clients, because clients, they need to see them. That's our main main business. Our engineers, I mean, our freelancer, our engineers and designer working on the sites, I mean, in the office of our clients. And then we have the other one who are working on sites. This one is also a different type. Like in office, we have engineers and designers. And on site, we have more like, we still have engineers, but we're going to have supervisor, inspector, superintendents. We still have like the site manager. Then we have commissioning engineer, construction manager, we have all those different type of people. So, and we have, with some clients, more and more actually, and this was the point of Trees at the beginning when we started. We have more and more clients that are only looking for experts to work on remote. And this is starting, but it's not possible for every position. That's the problem. But there is a niche for that. There is really like, we have clients that just look for experts to review their deliverables, to check the deliverables. When I talk about deliverables, it can be like calculation notes. It can be a report. Last time on an offshore wind project, they were looking for an expert just to review the report being done by one of the contractor. They needed a third-party expert just to review the report. And the thing is, yeah, that makes sense. But it's the job of big companies. There are big companies that have like in-house experts that work as a third party for that. And for freelancer, okay, they can't put the stamp. So basically, there are those third-party companies that are using our marketplace right now. Those third-party, like Bureau Veritas, BV, they need to stamp a document. They need to stamp a deliverables, but they can't have expert in-house. So they go on the marketplace and they find the expert, and the expert will review. And after, they will send the review to this company, and the guy just will stamp. After.
Gotcha. So it's interesting, the rise of freelance adoption. There is some similar patterns when you start to dig deep in it. And one of those patterns is typically freelance adoption starts with a scoped sort of individual / individual contributor type role. So something like design this PowerPoint, build this website, something that is usually low risk. I don't want to say small, but it's definitely not like a McKinsey or an agency level project, but it's very execution focused. And then it transforms into higher level, strategic level type engagements. And then it also starts to transform into just individual experts. So, hey, let's make sure we have a freelance expert with their eyes on this so we're not missing any blind spots. And so it's cool to hear, the evolution there as well. Now, I want to dig deeper into the individual freelancers, because one thing I assume is that you've been building the freelance base of engineers in the energy industry. I'm assuming you're the first mover in this, meaning that you're doing a lot of things first and you're really, really at the front of the wave. Now, what's it been like building the freelancer pool? Was there already a pool of thousands of these individuals? Have you had to teach, a lot of people that you can be freelance? What's it been like building the freelance pool?
It was clearly a journey when we started.
Painful.
In my kitchen with my co-founder, we started to brainstorm. Okay, how can we get those people? But we actually, when we had no marketplace, I was doing webinar with using what is called Zoom. I was having like the paid version where we can have up to 100 people. And I was like this doing a lot of actual marketing on LinkedIn to talk about the ID. And we were doing webinar once a week or twice a week, up to 100 people to discuss it. I was just showing basically my business plan, my business model to those people. And I was having a conversation with like 100 people. Imagine that. And that's how we started to build the community of, I would say, our community of freelancers, of followers first. It was more like a community on LinkedIn following this ID, I don't want to say this crazy ID, because the service itself is existing already. It's like the manpower companies, the big ones. It's called like the Air Swift, the NES, the Brunel, which are like the huge consultancy engineering services, like the manpower and the manpower company. Sorry, but I was like this. We're going to build the marketplace where we will be registered with all those clients, the Total, Chevron, Shell, Technip, Aker Solution. And we told them all the requirements, the manpower requirements, the task-based requirements, the deliverables requirements will be posted in this marketplace. And you will have like your profile on the marketplace, and we will have an AI that will match you, that will connect you with the right jobs based in, if it's more like an office based, a size based, a remote job, and you will be like this match, and you will connect together with clients, and you will start to work. That was the idea, and many people, actually many talents were like this. That's fantastic. Because when we told them also that we're going to be transparent on our rates, which doesn't exist. Those big manpower agencies, they're not transparent on rates. But that's why when you can use Uberize, I want to say, a marketplace like this, Freelancer, you can, of course, decrease the usual fees, and you can be transparent because you can do more with less. So many people was like interested into that. I mean, and me, I was working for those manpower company before. I was the first one feeling like not comfortable when I knew I was doing a huge margin on someone, on a talent, because I had no choice. I had no choice. I was working for someone who want me to bring a lot of money. That's the goal of those manpower agency, to make big margins. Because of course they need to hire a lot of people. It's a business, of course. So the business of marketplace is just, if it works, is just the end of those manpower company, basically.
Right. And so let's get into what it was like from a client perspective. So were you coming and saying, hey, I have this brand new offering? Were you coming and saying, hey, this is just like Manpower, just cheaper or faster? Or higher quality? What was it like getting those first 10 clients? And what was sort of the value that you really used?
Yeah, for the value, it's the value of any marketplace. When the client come, it's always like the magic of the marketplace, because the client is looking for like a structural engineer for a particular type of project. We have now different ways of looking for a profile. We build the AI, we build model trees. We can talk about this later, because it's the human cloud. The cloud actually give me the idea of model trees. But when you have basically, this type of marketplace, that when you write what you're looking for and propose you a list of CVs, when you click on CV, you can see the rate, you can see where the guy is, you can see the last time he has been connected, and you can contact him directly. And then you can contractualize on the marketplace directly. We have done this with few clients. And when the clients, I remember a client was looking for someone for like so long, and we try on the marketplace. We invite the talents during the meeting, and during the meeting, the person reply. And the client was like this, really? Is it serious? It was beautiful. And with the proper consultancy company, these things is just not possible. You can't do that. Right. You can't also, maybe they have their in-house software with which they can also do things, but they can't let the clients do it, basically. The clients can do it by themselves, and when you tell them, you do it by yourself, it's going to be cheaper. We do it on your behalf, because I need to have a team as well which is able to do this job as well. But when we told them, you have two choices, either we do it, either you do it. Well, we give two choices. Most of the time, I'm not going to lie, but the clients ask us to do it on their behalf. So they want us to do it. I was
just going to ask that, Quentin. So here's one of the major questions for you. Are you seeing that? So is it that the marketplace wows, but then the actual scaled experience is you hand-holding and massaging? What's the level of effort that the clients are putting into actually using the marketplace?
So for that, we have the same issues as the big one like Malt. Because we are only working with big companies. When I say big companies, it's big companies. So big companies right now, but it's coming. Malt told me it's coming. Right now, they don't have someone allocated to marketplace. So most of the big companies, they say, no, I can't have someone just for your marketplace. I can't just, because you're the only one doing that. So they say, no, I'm okay to register you as a manpower company. And then I just want you to follow the usual process and to send me the CVs. But I mean, Malta, there is the same actually things for Malta. Smaller clients, we have small clients. But when I say small clients, like 10 people company, they do it themselves. But same on Malta, same on the big one. On Malta, actually, the big clients, usually they don't do it. But like the small clients, even me, I can be a client on Malta and I will use it myself and I can talk to someone. But the big one, no, they are still not used to it. But what we do for that, actually, we have something new now. Everything we post a job, the client receive an email saying the job has been posted. And when someone make a proposal, we are doing the first filter. So we are doing a filter. And then if we validate the profile, we click and the profile is directly sent actually to the client directly. The client receives an email and the client can follow the job directly on the marketplace. And if the client wants, he can also talk directly with the candidate itself. We try to bring the clients more and more on the marketplace itself. But we need to adapt. We need to go step by step. We can't just tell to a client and it will be not true if we say that our marketplace is the best, blah, 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 just come. It's not the case. So step by step, we improve, we increase. And well, the final goal is really when we'll have a lot of marketplaces maybe client will have someone allocated to post job on marketplace.
So I call it kind of the Achilles heel of freelance, and it has been this way forever. And I to be honest, I don't know if it'll ever change, is that there is no singular position or department that is responsible for freelance. So there's no chief freelance officer. And within that, freelance is everything and nothing at the same time. So for example, when freelance works best generally is when you have a leader who is very selfishly incented for the end result of what freelance can bring them. So for example, increase the velocity of my department, or increase the cost, or increase the quality, right? Or if it's tied to something higher. And so here in the US, one of my favorite examples is something like TurboTax Live that puts freelancers into their product workflow, fundamentally increases the actual engagement of their software, and then likewise the amount of money they can produce. But that's a totally different pitch than, hey, do you want a freelancer, right? So it's really tough. Now, related to this, tell me about the education piece. And what I mean by that is, do the clients, do they know when you say, hey, you're going to get an engineering and energy freelancer, do they know what that means? And then related, do they know what that means? Do they need to know what that means? Or do you just use language like, hey, this is no different than your existing approved vendors. It's just quicker, right? Or it's a different marketplace experience. How's the client education / awareness level of this?
You're right. It took time for us to find the right words. The client just doesn't have to know, because when he knows,
exactly.
No, because when he knows in the energy industry, actually, one of the first time we signed a deal, when the client knew it, then he bypassed us. The marketplace was not like completely ready, but at the end of the PO, he just bypassed. So now we just don't say anything, but we just give, actually, we really give the choice. Means not everyone is freelancer. It's just that either in Malaysia, for example, either we tell them, we give them the choice. We tell them, you can be freelancer. Because when they register on the marketplace, they are not still freelancer. Means they are not able to invoice. But it's the same, for if me tomorrow I register on Malta, I will be considered as a freelancer, but I still don't have my company. I still can't invoice. So basically, we tell them we only work with freelancer, or if you don't have the time or if you don't want to be freelancer, we have a partner that will payroll them. Because, when when you are freelancer, you kind of, depending where you are, I don't know in the US, but in France, in Malaysia, even in Singapore, when you are payrolled or if you're freelancer, you can have different benefits, I would say. So some people don't want to lose those benefits. So they don't want to be freelancer. Like the real term definition of being a freelancer, it means invoicing or being able basically to, you have your own company, you can invoice yourself. Some people are not freelancer. They say, no, me, I want to keep my benefits. So I just want to be payrolled. But we never payrolled. We have partner payrolling. We call them payrolling partner. So yeah, we do that. But I talk with some people actually on Malta. It's exactly the same. There is payrolling companies that invoice Malta. So, well, we just adapt to the country where we are. Like in Indonesia, we have a lot of business in Indonesia. But the freelancer status doesn't exist. Not every companies are liberal like this. In the UAE, it's very easy. In Malaysia, it's very easy. In Europe, it's easy. In the US, super easy. But in Indonesia, doesn't exist. So we can't do that. So we need a payrolling partner to employ everyone. So we adapt, and the day people will be fine to get, or the day when you're a freelancer, you keep some benefits that you can have when you're like an employee. Maybe it will not change anything and everyone will be freelancer. But for now, it just depends on we have to follow laws and contract possibilities, contract status.
And so tell me, like, let's be very, very technical about what is then a freelancer in Malaysia and Singapore. Is there a clear, like, so I'll give you an example. Here in the US, technically, if you're working as a freelancer, you're a 1099 independent contractor. Like, that is the technical term. Now, anyone can be a 1099 independent contractor. And if I, as the individual, if I'm the freelancer and I just do nothing, then I am putting myself and the company at risk, but I'm just going to get taxed in a certain way that I'm just, it's a higher tax bracket. Technically, it's called a sole proprietorship. But so here in the US, if I do nothing, I can still freelance, but I'm going to get taxed higher as a sole proprietorship. And the individual company is going to have more risk because I'm not clearly defined as a 1099 independent contractor. So there's kind of gray. But in Malaysia, is there a separate, like, is there a freelance business incorporation? Is business incorporation deemed someone's a freelancer? Can you just freelance without doing any paperwork? What does it mean to be a freelancer in Malaysia and Singapore?
So the term in Malaysia is the same as in the US, sole proprietorship. There is a website for that. My team is always, when someone is not freelancer yet, my team help them. We have a guide for that. So every countries, we have a guide. We send them a guide and we do it. And actually we help them as well. If they say, no, can you please give me help? I have someone dedicated for that will help them to become, to open their status, their sole proprietorship, doing the status and everything. But it's very straightforward. It costs less than 10 USD. And your question, if they don't work and if they don't invoice, I have no idea. But
so they have to establish a sole proprietorship license is really the check to make sure that they can freelance. That makes total sense. Now let's get on the client side. I'd love to hear, tell me about either one or a couple, however many you want. Tell me about some of the client wins. Who were these clients? You don't have to give exact names because I understand the NDAs. And if you're working with large companies, I know you probably can never, ever let the logos out the building. But tell me about, the types of companies and what were some of the big wins from Trees?
So, I can't give company names. I'm fine. Most of the time in the energy industry, in the engineering industry, is like contractors. Contractors are the companies that needs to hire a lot of external. Because if they hire, when they win a project, usually they need to man up a lot of people, a lot. If they do it themselves and then they fire everyone, people will not be happy. So basically, also the HR team is not fit for that. So you have different type of clients, but one client in particular called NOV. NOV is a Norwegian company, for example. They were like very, very late on their project. And their client told me. I just went there and I told them, how is your project doing? Blah, blah, blah. And they were super late. But I told them, we have this new concept. I mean, basically it's manpower, but we can help them. We can help you. And actually, we started last year with one, and now we have 22 freelancers are now working in their team.
Yeah.
And they never did it before. They never worked with this business model before, with like third party, with external freelancers working in their own team. And the HQ of this company is in Norway. And when they found out that Malaysia was performing that well, the Malaysia office was performing that well, they started to give them even more projects, because the HQ was winning projects in Norway, and they started to give more projects to like the office in Malaysia. And we one other client, which is Wally, big American clients, they are the one who started to work with our own freelancer. They bypassed us, and after, well, I don't know if it was their plan, but it was very strange because they were not used to work with with freelancer. And then after that, they started to hire people, and they started to tell them to become freelancer as well.
That's incredible. The ability to, the ability to tie to revenue is by far the leading indicator of watching a freelance program or freelance adoption scale. And so the ability to say, hey, Norway-based company, meaning HQ's in Norway, you're a regional office, and the way you have to win more projects is to be able to execute, like you mentioned. And the way to execute is to be able to staff up. And your existing HR and your existing vendors, they're not, I don't want to say they're bad, but they have hit their brim, right? They have optimized to what they are. And so the ability to add on a layer, which to your point, to go from 2 to 22, that's incredible. And it directly leads to getting more projects, which directly leads to more revenue. So, I mean, that's very consistent with some of the best use cases of freelance adoption. Now, Quentin, I want to give you, this is kind of the last question as we come up. I want to give you the chance to just tell us, and especially I want the clients to hear, where do you see this industry going specifically? To mention you started, it was very much individuals on site. You're now seeing the ability to pull in experts. You've also had big wins, like this example of the company going from 2 to 22 and being able to win bigger projects from HQ. Where do you see the freelance economy going in the next 2 to 5 years?
Well, it's a tough question. I kind of thinking about this every day because we just opened actually a company in France. We have this like energy crisis. We know we're gonna need a lot of energy in the coming years. I'm talking like energy in general. So this is one point. We have another point where in Europe, in Occident, the Western world, engineers don't want to work anymore in the conventional energies. They don't want to work anymore in oil and gas projects, basically. And I say that because so many now oil and gas projects, because of these, are shifting to the Middle East or Southeast Asia. And so this was the second point. We have the third point where countries are getting more and more liberal, being more like free, meaning giving the opportunity for everyone to become freelancer, to invoice themselves. Well, when I see that, we need more energy. The Western world doesn't want to work anymore in oil and gas projects. And countries are getting more and more liberal with this new status of freelancer. For me, everything is going to the same dots. I mean, all the dots are connected, sorry. So it's going to be bigger. It's the same for like the tech industry. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And us, actually, in the energy engineering, we are usually a bit after. We always come like 5-10 years later. Because I don't believe that engineers working in the energy sector, they're going to continue to see their friends working in the IT, being all freelancer, working from wherever they want, being more free, basically, because this is the point of being freelancer. It's being more free. It's not, I mean, working on being more free and working on project basis, working on a project that you want to work. It's going to continue. It's here to stay. Yeah. It's clearly here to stay. Us for now, you know what? We had actually to kind of do less because we have lack of cash flow. Because we can't pay, most of here in Malaysia, people like to be paid, they don't like to be paid back to back. So we have to respect that and we have to basically manage the cash flow. I told my staff recently, we have big cash flow issues right now. In Malaysia, being foreigner, I can't make any loans with the bank. We could do way better. I just don't do it. I just take my time and I wait, but we could, it's going to grow. It's going to continue for sure. Even more in Southeast Asia and Middle East. For me, this is the place where it's going to be like crazy, but even in Europe, it's just that we're going to have a big shortage of people for the energy industry. But yeah, that's my vision.
Yeah. No, I think the quote of the episode might be, freelance as a tool to liberalize more than just being Western countries. And I think, it's tough, right? Like we named the book The Human Cloud because we were like, hey, this is more than freelance, right? And what really is this? Well, it's bringing what we've done manually into the digital sphere, right? And doing what we've done manually from a work perspective, which has always been in person and full-time being the default, whether it's an agency with full-time people or, internal HR. So, I think that's a really, really interesting way to put it. Now, in the spirit of transparency, Quentin, I wonder, because this will be super helpful for those listening. I know transparency is one of your biggest values. What does it look like for the client? Is it a 10%, a 20%, a 30% take rate? Do you only take from one side? How do you manage the take?
So the take is if the freelancer is invoicing us 100, we're gonna top up 10 to 20%.
Gotcha.
That will depend of if freelancer agree that we pay him back to back. So if freelancer agrees that we pay him back to back, it's always 10%. We can even decrease, but usually 10%. And after, if he doesn't want, and if the clients pay at 45, 60 days, we need to go up to like 20%.
Gotcha. Okay. And it's that's one of the things when looking at niche platforms like yourself, man, the transparency is so much better. And it's a much more honest and transparent relationship where, founders like you don't care. You're willing to say publicly what the actual take is, which is huge, which is awesome. So Quentin, this has been absolutely incredible. The most important question is where can our listeners find you?
Well, I'm mostly on LinkedIn. Yeah. That's where I'm trying to use Twitter more.
Good luck, man.
Tech times.
Good luck. I can't say I really tried, but I remember thinking about trying and I just can't.
Really?
But Quentin, this has been absolutely incredible. Listeners, you go out, find Quentin on LinkedIn ASAP. And Quentin, thank you so much for hopping on.
Matthew, thank you to you. Thank you very much.